Are you a 9-to-5er dreaming of real estate cash flow without leaving your job? Listen, this is the easiest path. My name is Lacedrick, and today I'm going to be breaking down the simple process that prints money in the next 30 days in wholesaling. Now let's get into the conversation.
I had one teacher literally wrote "worthless piece of crap" as my name on the board earlier that.
Are you serious?
So when I first started, I quite literally had almost $0.
Don't sell, don't convince, don't persuade. Just solve the problem.
You made $600,000 in literally under a year.
I was wondering we were gonna get back to that.
Yeah, because welcome to the podcast, everybody. I thank you for clicking on this video. Just in case you have not heard of us before, my name is Lacedrick Brantley. I am an expert in the business of real estate wholesaling. I also am joined with my co-host. His name is Kenneth Williams, y'all. He literally is an expert in business strategy, y'all, of 20 plus years. And together we're going to be interviewing my guy, Brett Erickson, right here. He's literally has killed the game in the real estate wholesaling business, y'all, and literally had a background of knew nothing about sales whatsoever. So in this conversation, we're going to be breaking down how you can make money and get cash flow, even if you have a 9-to-5 in real estate wholesaling, okay? Welcome to the pod, bro.
Hey, man.
This is great to have you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. How you doing today, my man?
Doing good.
Good. Let's do it. All right, y'all. So, how this is gonna go is we're just gonna be breaking down this business, y'all, a little bit about wholesaling. And if I can give you what wholesaling is today, just in case you don't know what wholesaling is, we're gonna break that down here literally in 60 seconds. Have you ever heard of Uber or maybe even Lyft or like a middleman who owns nothing but controls everything? Because that's exactly what we do in real estate wholesaling is control everything, but we own nothing. We don't have to buy any properties. We don't have to do any of that, okay? So wholesaling works essentially if you have a person with a problem that you can solve their problem and help them get away from pain or towards pleasure with a property that they want to essentially sell, right? So all of the problems that we have in the world, whether that be divorces, tax delinquencies, unfortunately, to say this, people die every day. These properties get passed on or they have to be sold, right? So as wholesalers, what we do is we help these homeowners out of their problems. And in exchange, we make money for that by selling this contract, this piece of paper over to a investor, a fix and flipper, a buy and hold investor. And that's how we make money. So today what we're going to be explaining is how you can make money also in this game, y'all, in the next 30 days. And we're joined right here with Brett. So Brett, real quick, man, before you got into wholesaling, what were you doing?
Before wholesaling, I was building power lines. So y'all see the big towers, everybody calls them the telephone poles.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff I was working on for about 8 years.
Okay. And you've been in wholesaling. How did you get your start in wholesaling?
So my start with wholesaling got to the point where working my 9-to-5, well, it really was like a sun up to sundown. We worked our butts off. But finally got to the point where I seen everybody that I was working with.
Yeah.
We were making a ton of money, right? But the guys that I was working with, nobody had money. Like the guys that were, 40, 50 years old,
Yeah.
they're asking me for money as a guy that was just a couple years into the business. And so my head was like, if this is what I have to look forward to, like I got to get on a different path. And
Yeah.
I might be making more money right now than I ever thought I would, like in construction. But I go, this is all I know, and I need something else for me. So on the way to work, I'd be listening to like the Brad Lee podcast, or one day I was gonna be the dang the deed hunter one day. Every single day I thought I was gonna get rich off a different right. And so finally I seen wholesaling, and that's when it was like somebody local, Naaman Taylor. And when I seen that and seen that he was local, I go, okay, this guy's like could be tangible, somebody in the backyard. And so I reached out to him. He DM'd me back saying, hey, we're shooting some content at one of my flips.
Yeah.
Come out and check it out. And I ended up working for him, a few months later. So that's how I got started. And then, I learned the game from him as an acquisitions. And when he shut his company down, I went and knocked some doors for a while, decided I didn't really care for the door knocking. And then I ended up starting my own company last December. So
wow, last December. For the people who like think about wholesaling and are like, man, this just doesn't seem real. This doesn't seem true. I typically don't like to get on the money tip too much, but like, how much have you made since you've almost been almost a year now in your full-time business, full-time?
April will be a full year.
Full year, April.
Yeah.
Since then, what's the revenue been like for you?
So last year, like as a whole, 2025, I did just a touch over 500,000, and we've had 3 closings this month. I think I did it, or beginning of January. And I think we did like 65, 70 in the beginning of January.
Gotcha.
So close to 600,000, and I haven't been a full year just yet.
Jeez. Wow.
Yes, sir.
I hope y'all caught that. Not even a full year yet. Yeah.
What would you say is the most like common mindset? What's the difference between the mindset that you had at this 9 to 5? Because you, as you said, you had the mindset of like thinking ahead, like, man, I don't want my life to look like this. And, you know, I got, you know, these people asking me for money, this happening and all of this, right? So like, what was the difference between like where you are now, high level entrepreneur, doing it at a high level, and coming from there, making good money, but still like not where you are now, right? So what was that common mindset that you see is the difference between, you know, then and now in the typical like 9 to 5er and like somebody who wants to start a business?
Yeah, I think it comes down to is everybody. It's the people that want to do more. Like if you're sitting in your desk right now and you're like, man, I'm making good money, but you can feel you were meant for something more.
Yeah.
And you know like where that road's leading you. So like for me, I'm around a bunch of drunks, people doing drugs all the time. And when you're around that, you know, you're around the 5 people, you become the 5th person or the 6th person.
That's true. Wow.
And so now it's like, you know, I'm around people like you, Kenneth, you know, I'm around people that think way bigger to where I'm just like, you know, as to where 200,000 was a lot of money at one point. Now it's like, dang, I can't believe I limited myself to that.
That's true.
And so the other thing too, it comes to is like, what do you want for your future family? You know, I couldn't spend any time with my family at that point. I was always on the road. And so you just start to think like how you want more for yourself, I think. And now my mindset has just been like, just keeps growing, right? It's not, man, if I could just make 200,000 or whatever, it's like, now I want the ends, right? Like I want to be doing multi-million-dollar worth of business every year.
Absolutely.
And you do that by getting around the right people.
That's true.
I would say that's how my mindset's changed.
Absolutely.
Since, you know, the construction life.
That's perfect, man. So, based on where you were now, then and now, 9 to 5er, now you're a full-time entrepreneur, and like, we don't want y'all to get it misconstrued, y'all. You can still make money part-time. Like a lot of people do this business part-time, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, and literally add on an extra 6 figures in revenue every single year doing this. But like, would you say that consistency is like a thing that you need, or like, what would you say is like the common thing that should keep you going, or is different from like the 9 to 5, like, oh, I have to wake up, I'm going to the job, or I can call out, et cetera, et cetera. What do you feel like that mindset is between that?
So I'll see if I can answer that the best I can. So I know the mindset, at least for a lot of 9 to 5ers, or I come from the construction background, right?
Right.
And so everybody talks about how hard they work, right? And like how self-disciplined they are. And I used to think that about myself. I was like, I'm so self-motivated. I wake up at 4:30 every morning to get to work on time.
Yep.
But that was because I had to. There's somebody telling me every single day, hey, if you don't come to work today, you're fired. Right.
There it is.
Right.
And so when you stop doing that, and I went from a very structured, hey, you wake up at 4:30 to be to work by 6 or whatever. Well, when you don't have that anymore and nobody telling you to do that, you quickly realize maybe I wasn't as self-motivated as I thought, because it's you telling your bus to get up in the morning.
Absolutely.
And then what also is really hard, if you take the move to just quit and start something so crazily different, is I was used to making $200,000 a year working my butt off. And when you quit, you work the same amount of hours and you don't see a lot of that right away.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you wake up and you work 15 hours a day, and the next morning dang, I don't know if I'm getting a paycheck this week or not.
Yeah.
And so that's much harder than a lot of people think. People don't tell you that, right? They don't tell you like, hey, it's glorious being an entrepreneur, right?
That's true.
It's not as easy as it sounds, or people make it out to be. And that's where you bring up the point, if you keep your job, it can be a lot less stressful, and you can keep some of that money to go to your marketing dollars.
Absolutely.
Or for one, you get so stressed out about getting a deal that's going to show up in your sales, right?
Right.
The people are going to feel how desperate you are. You're going to have that sales breath on you. You keep that job, it's a little bit more security while you do it. So it's going to, a little bit of your personality type. Like for me, I don't know that if I ended up getting laid off is how I ended up getting into this. I knew that I wanted to do more, and I had not quite jumped off the ledge yet.
Right.
But when I got laid off, it was kind of that final push that I needed. It was like, it wasn't a bad thing in my life. I was like, okay, I just didn't make the decision myself. It finally just happened, right?
Yeah.
I kind of forget where I was leading with that, but if I wouldn't have stopped and went full time, I don't know if I would have been able to do it, because that's how I am. I'm like a all in or nothing.
Yeah.
But some people don't always have that luxury, or that's not how they work. So it's going to be a little bit, if you can stay in your job, and that's what helps you stay more focused, because you have more structure. You got, you're still waking up at 8 because you have to go to your 8 to 5, and you can set time apart.
Yep.
And that could be a better route for you. It's just going to kind of depend on how you operate.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. So like, I got a question for you when it comes down to this, because let's just say this person is like, man, I am in. What does it look like if a person has a 9 to 5, and they can still invest into real estate and make money, but they still have to put in the time, obviously, but they won't be full time. What would you say that looks like if somebody were like, man, all right, I'm in. Now, what is the best route? Because we got so many different ways of getting into the business. You got driving for dollars, you got Zillow leads, you got cold calling, all of these things. So what would you say that somebody should do if they're like, man, what is that game plan look like for this individual that only has, let's just say, the weekends possibly, or maybe 3 to 4 hours a day?
Yeah, and that's where first things first is you got to get good at sales.
Yeah, sure.
You got to learn from somebody. You got to watch videos. Get around somebody that knows how to do sales. Because what I did is, when I first got out, I was on Naaman's, one of his certified closing calls. Yeah, and he was like, if y'all aren't using this lead service, y'all need to do it right now. And people aren't like action takers like a lot of us are, right?
Yeah.
The next day, I put $10,000 into need to sell my house fast.
Yeah.
I didn't close one deal. I ain't never made a phone call yet. Yeah. and I remember so excited. I messaged him, and I go, Naaman, I just did $10,000 into PPL. And he's like, you did what? He's like, you never even made a call yet. I was like, well, I watched you the other day, and you said it's like, I did not think anybody was going to take that quick of action, type of deal. Yeah. And, then I ended up doing the sales training with him. But out of that first 10,000, I didn't get one deal because, it wasn't because the leads were bad. It was because I didn't have any skills yet. Yeah. And so first things first, do the training, do some sort of training before you just jump in and do the leads. Now, like you were saying, there's the cold calling, Facebook, PPC, PPL. If you're going to go that route and have a job, the cold calling, I don't think is going to work, right? Yeah. You're going to work a lot of hours. You're going to make a ton of calls. You're going to have a lot of people telling you to F off. And if you're not around people that are doing the business, a lot of people aren't going to have that mental fortitude to stay in it.
That's true.
And so they're going to get burnt out. They're not going to see results fast enough, and they're going to quit. And I think that's the reality of it. And so my playbook would be get around somebody doing it, learn the sales from them, and then set up, Facebook, PPL, but do it for the times when you're going to be available. Don't set it up all day long and you're at work and you got leads coming in and you can't call them. But if you're you set it up for the weekends and you can work then, set your campaigns up for then, and now you're a part-time wholesaler and you have your full-time job. And so that would be my play, is set it up for the weekends, whether it's a PPL, it's a Facebook, but something where you can control it to where it works around your schedule.
That makes sense.
You know, you said something very, very powerful, and I don't want to skim over that, because I said this to our viewers before a couple of pods ago, but I was at the small business expo that came to Dallas. I think it was in November or December. I can't remember which one it was. There was a lady on the panel that she won Shark Tank, and she got the money that she was looking for on there. And the host asked her a question about, what is the biggest advice that you would give a person that's considering the journey of entrepreneurship? What should they do first? Like, what is that thought process? What is the first step to do? And she said, first of all, you want to be self-aware. Know your limitations. Know what you can and what you cannot do. Assess your strengths and your weaknesses. Figure out if you're willing to trade freedom from bondage to bondage.
Yeah.
Because the first couple of years of your business, you're in bondage. You're not free. You know, you're going to be spending a lot of time. But then she said this, and this is the reason why I brought this up, because you alluded to this. You said to get around somebody who understands sales,
Right.
that can teach you and train you. If you want to get into this industry, you want to get in and get really good with sales.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit of what your thoughts are about, and the thing that she said was, get a coach.
Yeah.
Get somebody that have already gone through what you're about to go through. And, you know, of course, there are some checks and balances. There's some things you want to look for when you're dealing with that. But all in all, you want to get somebody who have already gone through the trenches and know the ins and outs of it, so they can train you on these things. How important is that? I mean, I really want to vibe that point.
I think that might even be, you know, we talk about the sales, but it might, you know, I know it kind of goes hand in hand, but that might be the number one thing, especially if you want to fast track it, right? Yeah. Like when I tell people that I only had this for a year, and I talk to a lot of people where they've only done 2 deals in their first like 3 years. Wow. And I tell them that I've done, you know, whatever, probably like 30 or 40 last year, right? Right. Wow. And they're either one thing I'm like lying about it, or two, there's like, how did you do it? And I was just like, I spent probably 100,000 on mentorship. Yeah. And a couple of them were bad, right? You're gonna whatever, right? But really it was the first guy that I had. I gave him 20 grand. It was like a 8-week course. After the 8 weeks, I finally got to a point where I could find a deal. And I was like, hey man, I got this thing. It looks like a sub 2. I go, but I'm not really sure how to underwrite it just yet. And I'm texting him all this as I'm at the person's house, and he texts me back and he's just like, well, didn't you take the course? And I was like, I just gave this guy 20 grand for 8 weeks. And then I never heard from him again. Wow. And so maybe that happens, right? Yeah. But you can either get sour and upset about something like that, or I can be like, if I didn't spend that 20,000, I might have not gotten so serious about what I'm doing right now, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, bad things might happen if you look for the bad things. Sure. But look for the guys that are doing it. Get around them. You know, if you got to pay them to fast track it. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I paid that guy 20 grand. I had a couple that were like 3 grand a piece, and the sales training was by far the best one that I ever taken from Naaman. When I took that from him, everything changed that day. Like, I mean, that was like a 5-week program. And after I took that, I mean, quite literally, like, I feel like I stood up taller. I'm just like, I can talk anybody into anything now. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Naaman has that kind of like energy. Yeah. He makes you believe you can do it. Actually trains you on how to do it. And actually a little bit of that, we're actually going to go in here tonight and talk about that and what the sales process looks like for that, because that's very important. So step number 1 is literally your mindset and determining what you can do, right? what kind of capacity you have, how many hours you can do, et cetera, et cetera. And then the second thing here is that skin in the game, obviously, because in nowadays, when it comes down to real estate, yes, you can do it for free, but understand that there's this, two principles, right? The first one here is that if you have time and you don't have enough money, then it's going to take you more time, right? But if you have money and in a little bit of time, then you could supplement that, right? It takes you less time to get a deal because you have money that can supplement you and help you, right? So I think that's very important to notice right here. And then number 3, learn sales or get a mentor. If you cannot learn sales by ordering books and studying, and if you want to fast track it, get a mentor. Sure. Like, it's very important to either get a mentor or join their team, right? Join somebody else's team like you did. What was that, for like a year or so?
Yeah, just a touch under a
year.
Yep.
A touch under a year, and get the experience. It's up to you on how you do it, but like at the end of the day, these things fast track you and help you, because it's like, bro, if you're joining under somebody, you're getting paid to learn, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I think that's very important. So what would you say is like your philosophy before getting on the phone and talking to a motivated seller? Like, a motivated seller, y'all, is very simple. It's somebody who has a problem that you're helping them solve. And at the end of the day, the goal is to get a agreement signed and go sell the deal, right? What would you say are some things that you do before you get on the phone?
I would say you got to get yourself into a state of just that I am here to solve somebody's problem. I'm here to just hear this person out. I'm here to open my ears up and let these people talk to me, right? And especially when you're doing some of the lead gen forms, such as Facebook or property leads or whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah.
The lead comes in, and especially after you get a little more experience and make some calls, it starts to get really easy to prejudge the leads, right?
Yep.
And so it's better to just as the lead comes in, just call it too, right? Don't look too much into it. You can spend a ton of time underwriting the deal. You're going to psych yourself out.
Yep.
And that's one thing I'm working with on my reps right now.
Yeah.
Is on the Facebook form, I actually started taking the price out, because when it comes in, you see Zillow says 500,000 and their asking price is 500,000. Like, you're like, here we go. Like,
right.
Like,
so mentally it psychs you out.
Right.
You're like, you don't want to call this.
And so what I'm helping them do is, before you make the call, put yourself into the seller's shoes, right? Yeah. When you go to fill out that form, like say you're scrolling Facebook that day, you got a house you want to sell. Let's say the house is 200,000, you owe 100 on it. And if you could walk away with 20 grand, you're like, dude, if I can walk away with 20 grand today, badass. But yeah, I ain't going to tell you that. And I ain't going to tell you that. But
yeah, that's true.
I'm going to put whatever Zillow says, because
exactly,
maybe they'll say yes to 200, right?
Right.
And so put yourself in their shoes. Like, they might be willing to take 120,000, but they're not going to tell us that right away. Right. And so if you psych yourself out, that energy is going to go into the call. Like, you're not going to ask questions the same way. You're going to come off maybe a little more standoffish. And so go into the call with this person needs help. They fill out the form for a reason, and it's our job to figure out how we can help. Now, we can't help everybody, right?
Right.
We might not be able to solve everybody's problem, but the people, we got to do everything we can to try. And if we do, they will sign with us if we can solve it. But it's going to be that really important part at the beginning, just to, take that deep breath, let yourself know we're here to solve the problem, and then just get into the call there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's powerful, man, because you think about it, especially when you're dealing with sales teams, and this is for all of you that are starting out and kind of prepping, getting on the call, because there are some people who have never been on the phones before.
Right.
They've never experienced talking to a stranger about something as personal as, having a home and selling it. Right.
Right.
And, having that, the kind of the mental fortitude to preparing yourself for, you don't know what's on the other end of that call.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be prepared for anything and everything. What I used to tell my sales team is don't go prejudging as to what you think something is going to happen. And I think that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yep.
Don't start adding, like having these dialogues in your mind about what you think that call is going to do, right? Because typically what happens, that type of thought really starts to pull on your tone when you're talking to someone, and they can hear what you're feeling without you telling them what you're feeling, right? And so it's really, I think, for especially all of you that are actually wanting to get into this, and that piece to it there is you having to have to make the calls. Brett, I think you're right, man. I think it's just really a matter of, don't go into it trying to prejudge what you think it's going to be.
Right.
Like really, really just pick up the phone, smile, and I could tell them that, smile and dial. You know what I mean? And just don't have any kind of, and that will help you. That will actually help the customer, believe it or not, to have a more sensible conversation, because they don't hear the salesy, the desperate, the forceful. You know what I mean? All that comes out in the tone. It does every time.
Or even just like when you see that 500,000 for the 500, like I'm asking 500 for the Zillow 500, and you get on the phone, and instead of like trying to figure out their problem, it's just like, how much do you want for it?
Yeah, right.
Go right into it. You're just like, I already know how this is gonna go, right? Yep. Instead, though, if you go through it, just like, when you see, Houston, Texas, it's a home market, the house. You look at the Zillow picture, it's a little beat down. It's inherited property, and you're like, here we go. Absolutely, man. And it's like, Mr. Seller, how are you doing today? Because that it's going to be a good conversation, or at least you think it'd do it. And then that person might be the opposite of the nice looking house, right? And so I tell my reps that all the time. I'm like, when they're asking that price, they're doing that because they would be a fool not to put that price in there. Just hear them out, and if they go through a string of bad calls, sometimes I'll just tell them to throw everything out and like, go make a friend with somebody on the phone today. Just go be nice to somebody on the phone, and look how good that's going to start changing your calls through the day. But that's what we're here to do: talk to people and figure out their problems and try to solve them. So yeah, don't be prejudging out there. And just go in there with a good, clear mindset that you're out there to do good. And I think that'll change it.
Absolutely.
And it seems like you have like a really good thought process when it comes down to the sales aspect of this thing, right? What would you say that's like a belief about like sales that essentially changed how you approach these sellers? Like that's definitely one right there, right?
Yeah.
These are limiting beliefs sometimes that we typically face. What would you say that one thing is right there that changed like your thought process behind sales?
I think it really is that. It's helping somebody. Like, I think sales get such a bad rap of, if we're just trying to make some money off of somebody, and it's like easy. And it's like, you're right. This is how we make a living, is by solving somebody's problem, right? Like when you go to use a realtor, like we use a realtor because we don't know what the hell we're doing to try and sell a house. Or, somebody passes away, you use somebody to put on the funeral because we don't know how to do those type of things. And some of these people, they just don't know, like they're so distraught that they need somebody to tell them what to do and help them out. And so I think when you can finally make that shift of like, hey, we are really providing a great service to help somebody out. When you can make that shift and you believe in what you're doing, that's when it's going to all change. Because when I first started, and I think I've seen this in some of your videos too, where you tell people like, a lot of people probably think this is illegal and this and that. Well, when you're on the phone thinking something's illegal or like you're doing something bad, it's going to show. Like this, the first time somebody says, I'm not interested, you were like, yeah, I wouldn't be either, and hang up, right? Because you don't believe in it. So believe in what you're selling and believe that we are doing a good thing. Like there's a lot of people that can't solve the problems that we do. Believe that, and you'll go into your calls like that with a whole different, mindset.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's talk about like, say the what it looks like to talk to this individual of a seller, and starting off with this first contact of trust building, right? What would you say is like the very first thing that you should probably address on a call with this seller? Like, what does that process look like?
So just so I like, you just want me to go over like how am I starting out the call?
Exactly.
Okay.
What does that even look like?
You know, somebody else
Okay, yeah.
to be able to help make them feel more comfortable
Yeah.
with you being on the phone.
Yep. So there's a few different things that I do right at the beginning that are super small that I think go a mile.
Uh-oh, y'all better get y'all pen and pad.
And
That is.
And I tell my reps this, so it drives them crazy because there's one, like a couple of them are just 2 words, and one is I say just, and then 2 is possibly. And when I answer the phone, it's just, hey, Mr. Seller, good evening, and I go, hey, and I'll lean back in my chair when I do this because I want my tone to be so soft during this that they do not feel any threat. So I'll be like, hey, this is just Brett. Like, and I will do this on my call. Like if I'm recording on my call, like you will see me do that. Like, hey, this is just Brett calling with Amplified Closing. Like we want them to feel like there is nothing going on, right? Like it should almost feel like a customer service call. Like if you were to call into somebody and you'll like, I'm trying to like, maybe you had like somebody do credit card fraud or something. You call them and you get on there and they make you feel so much better after. Like you want to make it feel like this is not a sales call. So, hey, this is just Brett with Amplified Closing calling. And I'll say, it looks like you filled out a form about possibly selling a property I want to. So a little bit curious. And when you do it this other way where you go, hey, I seen you fill out a form about selling your property. Well, when you start getting well, I don't have to, or I don't need to,
Yeah.
or this or that, it's because you assume that they need to sell. And they're like, well, what is this? This guy don't know nothing about me. So we say, hey, it looks like you consider possibly selling your property. They're like, well, I need to. And then now it's like, we got you. Right?
Absolutely.
You know, it's like the reverse psychology or whatever. It's
Absolutely.
like- and so when we start saying things like possibly and not assuming in the beginning, and the best we can do to just really drop their guard at the beginning of the call, like, I'm just your friendly neighborhood Brett here.
Yeah.
We're ready to see what's going on, right? So I think that's the most important thing, is just letting them know that, hey, there ain't nothing crazy going on right now.
Yeah.
And then that will be my next question, or my next point will be, hey, the first part, again, I'm throwing my hands up so I can make sure I'm laying back. And so I'm like, hey,
This is the tone, believe it or not. It's weird how to, like, physiology is just like you the hand motion, smiles, eyebrows up, whatever it is, how it affects the tone.
yeah, you like inflect your voice when you smile. Like, hey, yeah, so no, that's a great point. Or like when you're curious, I might lean in like this, or whatever you can do. And
They're about to say, I'm sorry.
oh no,
right
no,
to your point.
nope, you're good. I'll say, hey, the first part of this call is really basic, and so there's like, okay, nothing's happening yet. But what we're about to say next is what we're going to get all their pain and motivation on.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, we just jump in and say, hey, why are you selling or whatever, I'm saying, hey, the first part of this call is pretty basic.
Yeah.
I just like to get an idea, you know, like your relationship with the property. Are you living there? Is it vacant? You got some tenants in there? And so now what they're going to do is they're going to say, it's been vacant or something, right? Now they're going to say it's vacant. Okay. How long has it been vacant for? And now we're, without saying, why are you selling? We're asking in a much different way, which it doesn't feel invasive.
There it is.
And so now it's 6 months. Dang, man, that thing's been empty for 6 months. Are you paying on that thing right now?
Yeah.
Oh, my mortgage is $2,000.
Yeah.
Your mortgage is $2,000 and you're not living there? Like, are you living, where else are you living? How much is that? Dude, you're paying $4,000 a month right now? And then he's like, dude, I need to sell this.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And so when we can come off very non-threatening and not just quick, like, hey, why are you selling this thing? Because the seller knows, right? They know we're trying to figure out their pain.
Yeah.
But if you can say it in a non-threatening way after I just say how basic this call is going to be, I'm like, hey, is that thing empty? Or now I got tenants. Oh, how long the tenants been there?
Yeah.
6 months. So like, oh, nice. Like you want to sell it already? Like what's going on there? You don't want to keep cash flowing? Like, oh, dude, they haven't paid me in the last 6 months. Dude, if they've been here for 6 months, they ain't paid me.
Right.
And now we've just gathered the pain in that first, 5 to 10 minutes without them even really without even saying like, why are you selling the property or anything like that.
I like that approach. I've never heard anybody take that approach like, hey, I just want to see what's, this first call is very, very simple. I just want to see what the relationship is between you and the house. I've never heard that portion right there.
Right.
So when you say it like that, it's like, wow, like, okay, what Oh shoot, it's vacant. I mean, it's and it makes you just want to spill, right?
Yeah.
So first part of this call is really just introducing yourself, who you are, and let's just say this lead came to you. You're essentially doing an introduction, which includes who you are, what the objective is, and you're just setting the pace or the tone for this call right here, right?
Yep.
What would you say is a way that you set expectations up front? So you frame the call, like the rest, hey, here's how this is gonna go. What would you say is a way that you typically do that?
Yep. So the first half of setting expectations is me just asking that first part, right? Hey, the first part of this call, I just want to get an idea of your relationship, what's going on. I'll even throw in like, hey, what has you wanted to work with the cash buyer versus maybe listen with the realtor or something, just to see if we can do any good for you.
Right.
And then it's, again, it goes back to, well, we're paying on two houses. We don't want it to sit on the market, and we're going to gather all that ammo from them to use in the close, right? So when they say, oh, I'm just going to listen with the realtor, and be like, hey, just to make sure that, that I completely understand. At the beginning of the call, you told me that you had $5,000 in the bank and you're paying $4,000, and it also is going to take 120 days to sell this thing. Do you mind sharing with me how you're going to make that work with the realtor without you getting offended? Could you just so I can better understand?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, damn, it's not going to work, right? So you will use that in the close. And then after I gather that information in the beginning about what's going on, like the relationship, stuff like that, then I'll do the expectations of how the next part's going to go. And where I'm going to make them feel like I'm on their team. It's us versus the underwriters, right? So it's, hey, the next part of this call, I'm going to gather as much information from you about the property. My goal today is to get you as much credit as possible for the property.
Gotcha.
And so now they're like, okay, this guy's he's really going to try and get me to get some money for this thing.
Right.
And then from there, my underwriter, Aaliyah, she's going to run a match pair analysis on the property, take into considerations the notes you give me. And then by the end of the call, she's going to give me one or two things. One, an approval with an offer, or two, a disapproval with the reason why we might not buy it. Either way, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to let you know either way if we're going to buy this thing or not.
Absolutely.
And so there we do another like kind of push-pull type of deal, right? A lot of people are like, hey man, we bought 5 in your area. We really want this one. Mm-hmm. And now the seller knows, like their thought is like, yeah, I'm the prize. Yeah, I'm the prize. They want this thing more. But when we say, hey, by then it's called, we might not even buy this thing. They're like, oh, now they got to sell themselves on the house condition and everything else. And so it does two things there, right? It makes them know that there's a chance we might not buy it. And two, we're on their team. So when we come back with our low offer, that it's the underwriters that are the big bullies, right? It's not us. Mm-hmm. We're on their team. Right. And then so when we make that offer, they're not angry at us, right? I'm like, hey, this is all I could get you approved for. If it was my money, I would give you all of it, right?
That makes sense.
But I can.
So when we talk about like underwriting and like being the person, most people on the other side would think, all right, I'm calling this person to buy their house. Mm-hmm. Let's dispel this. Do they need any money to purchase this house physically? Okay. Like actually purchase the house. I'm not
for the new people that
exactly.
No money.
No money to purchase the house. Are you paying any types of fees, any types of money up front, anything like that as far as like the transaction? I'm not talking about marketing dollars to get in front of them, but like this transaction.
Maybe if like I've had my EMD down on there, but a lot of times I don't even pay that.
Right.
I don't send it in. So
exactly.
I would say no, $0.
Okay, cool. So when you talk about this person who now understands, all right, I don't have to buy the property. I am essentially going to wholesale this thing to a buyer. We talk about the underwriter approach and the RJ Bates, get straight to the point, I'm the guy kind of approach, right? Mm-hmm. What would you say is the difference between being the guy and being the not being the underwriter, but taking the underwriter approach?
I think it just helps with the rapport building with the seller.
Yeah.
Because if you've been on a call where somebody, like as soon as you give that low offer, their mood changes quick, right? And you were friends the whole entire call. Yeah. And now they don't want to listen to you. Like it's kind of like if you deal with multiple heirs on a property, mm-hmm. and 3 of them want to sell, 1 doesn't or something, or 2 don't. Or let's just say it was 1 dozen, 1 doesn't. Well, when those people talk to each other, it's like talking to a brick wall. Like they ain't going to listen to you after that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, well, let me try and let me go try and talk to them. And they're more willing to listen to me because they don't like that other person. And so if I come off the phone and give them this low number and they're pissed or whatever, right?
Right.
Well, now when I say, well, I might be able to do a little bit better, all they can hear in their head is the first offer. And they're like, no, you tried to rip me off.
Yeah.
But instead, if I can go, look, I understand maybe that was a little bit lower than you're expecting, but like, what were you expecting it to come in at? So I can go back and see if I can't, do everything I can besides hit a Leo with the baseball bat.
Yeah.
Hit you a little more. And then now they chuckle a little bit because I got another person in the play. And they're like, man, if you could do this, I'd be willing to work with y'all.
Absolutely.
And so now, because I'm not the bad guy and I'm not the person, necessarily making the call, I'm just like, hey, don't kill the messenger, right? Now they're a little bit more willing to work with me because I'm battling for them, right? To try and get them as much money as possible.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because so many people use this all across the world, like right now, today, even before it was used in wholesaling. Right. So like whenever you go buy a car, you go buy a car, you see the price, you're like, hey, I got a loan, I want to get approved, whatever. I'm trying to get to $500 a month, right? They come back at $860. You're like, no, I can't do that. And then they're like, okay, well, man, they're the one who brought you the water. They're the one, you want anything,
exactly right.
And then this person goes back because they're not the underwriter or the manager. They, hey, let me go back and talk to my manager and see what I can do.
Yeah.
Oh, I talked my manager down to $600 per month.
Yeah.
What do you think now it's like you're that friend with this individual as opposed to like, if you're the guy, they're going to take it out on you because they're like, well, why are you giving me this? Like, and now you got a whole flood. It's like, hey, you don't even have to answer any questions as opposed to like, why this offer? Like, hey, it's not me that's giving you the offer. It's them, right? Yeah. So that makes so much sense as like in a sales world of like being the guy, knowing that you could be comfortable not being the person. Now, full transparency with this, do you actually have a underwriter or are you the person underwriting the deal?
I mean, it's typically me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I use Chris a lot too.
Yeah.
And when I worked at for Naaman, we actually did.
Yeah.
We had I couldn't make any of my offers and pretty much until Aaliyah actually underwrote the deal.
Right.
And was like, hey, this is what we can offer on this.
Right.
And so we actually have had underwriters, but no, I mean, technically I am the underwriter too, but
exactly.
Whatever I do need a little time to put you on hold and crunch the numbers or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing the underwriting department.
No, not at all. So for this person that's thinking, man, do I need to hire somebody to underwrite? What is underwriting? So underwriting is simply how you come up with the numbers for your property, right? How you come up with your offer for your seller. What is that formula? Now, this is going to depend on the market. I will just give you the roundabout of what everybody else uses so you'll know. Simply what you do is you take the price that the property is worth, which they call that an after repair value. You multiply that usually by 70%. You minus, let's just say 10, 15,000 for how much you want to make and however much the property needs in work. Okay. So I guess you could say when it comes down to repairs, y'all, I would suggest getting like a repair sheet, or maybe what I'll do, y'all, is I'll actually give you my repair sheet that we use in our company. And I'll have it on the screen so you'll get that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you'll get that. All right.
Nice.
So when it comes down to this person, they know they don't need to go hire anybody. They are really the guy, but they don't want anybody else to know that. This is why people use the underwriter approach, because it's less, what do you call that? It's less stress for one, when you're making the offer.
Absolutely.
And it makes it so much easier because you're like, hey, it's not me. Like you're blaming it on them, right? So just so y'all know, there's 2 approaches. You can either approach somebody as being the guy, hey, I'm the person that's going to purchase this property, et cetera, or you can be a part of your company, the company, right? And hey, I'm not the person who controls anything. I just relay the information. I'm a glorified messenger. So like, hey, don't shoot me, right? So that's the difference between that. Now, we already covered the intro. We talked a little bit about motivation. Why do you need the motivation to somebody when it comes down to like knowing why they need to sell the home? Why do you need to know why they need to sell?
Because that is what they're going to make their decision off of, right?
Yeah.
We got to really get that psychological part of their brain, their emotional part.
Yeah.
And that's what you make your decision on. It's very rarely you make a decision just on logic, right?
That's true.
It's kind of like, you know, you need a new, like you're looking at new computers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you just bought one 2 years ago and you're going to think to yourself when you walk into Best Buy, like, do I need this? Not really, right? It's expensive,
Right.
this, that, the other thing. But then you're going to say, dude, if I had this new computer, I'd probably make more money. And now you're like getting excited and you're starting to get a little emotional about it. Well, then you're kind of making it based off your emotion. You're making like a logical decision based off emotion.
Yeah.
And so when we are talking to people and let's say the situation is they got a sick grandma or something and the house needs a lot of work and, you know, they want to make sure they have money to move over to Florida because that's where their sick grandma is.
Right.
Well, if we just get on the phone, and this is where, you know, I think this is kind of like the RJ Bates style. He gets on there and just asks them, like, what do you want for it? Then offers.
Yep.
I'm like, you just missed all the motivation by doing that, right? And so they might say no to that, right? But if you say, like, hey, what do you need so you can go spend the last few moments with grandma over in Florida? Like, how much do you need to get that accomplishing? And now she might say that same number that we offered, but since she's emotional about it and she knows that she needs to get there, like, hey, and that's what I'm gonna put into my offer too. Like, hey, we got you walking away with 20,000. I know that that's what you needed to get over to grandma. Like, hey, do you want this in a check or a wire when we close? What email should I send this to? Versus if we don't pull that up and we say, hey, we're getting you walking away with 20 grand. It's like, well, my house is worth this and I'm gonna list it and blah, blah, blah. And now we had no emotion in it.
That's
so
true.
We got to figure that stuff out because we use the emotion to close.
That makes sense. What questions would you say that you should probably ask to reveal the urgency of somebody if they need to sell a property? Like, how do we uncover that piece of like, all right, we know why they want to sell. How do you, what's a good question to essentially ask the average individual about urgency and to uncover their urgency when it comes to moving fast with this?
And that's where I'm going to try and do that towards the beginning too, right? So I want to do at least, I say three further questions into their pain. And what that might look like in the beginning is if we go back to like the vacant property, right? We say, if we skip over that at the beginning, right? When they say it's vacant, somebody says, oh, great. Next part of this call is this. Well, we just missed a whole lot of information, right?
Absolutely.
And so if we only do 2 questions, which would be, okay, the property's vacant, and I say, oh, dude, how long has it been vacant for?
Right.
And we say 6 months, and I'm like, great, because I'm still just trying to get onto with the script.
Yep.
Well, we missed like, okay, what does 6 months mean? Like, why is that important?
Right.
Well, if we ask a third one and we go, dude, do you have a mortgage on that thing? And he goes, yeah, it's $2,000 a month. And now we're really getting somewhere, right? Now it's like, man, you're paying $2,000 a month for that thing to sit there empty.
Yeah.
Like, dude, how are you holding up? Dude, I'm not, right? And so then when we are like, well, how soon are you wanting to get this done? And he's like, dude, I need this done yesterday.
Right.
But it's kind of more of like a string of questions, right? I think as opposed to maybe just like 1 or 2.
Right.
It's getting that, it's really just drawing that out and diving deep on it when you ask that first question. That's how I work it, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm covering that in the beginning by really digging deep, whatever it is, right? If it's the tenants, if they're living there. Hey man, how long you been living there? I've been living here for 7 years. Dude, you've been living there for 7 years? Why you want to sell that thing now?
Right.
And now he says, oh, I'm relocating. You know, that one's like, I feel like a cop out. They always say, I'm relocating.
Right.
dude, where are you headed?
Yeah.
And we're excited about it. And then we might actually get the grandma story where he's like, oh, we love living here, but my parents aren't doing well anymore.
Yeah.
And so if we don't ask 2 or 3 times and we're just leaving it at that first service level answer, we're missing everything. So we got to ask that first one, and then at least 2 follow-ups to really figure out, is this urgent? Do they actually need to sell?
Yeah.
Or are they like, hey, I just wanted to figure out what my house was worth, or whatever.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
What is the and I'm just kind of segueing into that, but I think this is where we are as it relates to objections, right? Like you're dealing with sellers that are, some are motivated, some aren't, some, just want to test the market, see what's out there.
Yeah.
All of these different things, right? What signals do you look for to kind of assess the kind of buyer, the kind of seller that you're dealing with? Because again, you when you're on the phone with the seller, I think it's important to kind of identify pretty quickly what you're dealing with. So, because in my mind, and this is, I was teaching my mentees this last week on a call, the importance of listening to what they're not saying and being able to really articulate that quickly within your mind, and then regurgitate that back to them so that you can talk to them about the thing that they did not talk about, right?
Right. Okay.
And I think what part of that is just kind of really figuring out who you're talking to on the phone. Then you can kind of not put in a box, but if I know I'm talking to a motivated seller and they start to run down these objections, I know how to respond. Or if I'm talking to a person that's just kind of testing the market and they run these objections, I know how to respond. You know what I mean? Like, what are some signals that you look for as it relates to kind of figuring out the kind of buyer? And I know you talked about, just kind of understanding the pain and, the degree of, kind of separating them along those lines. But can you dig a little deeper into that point of view? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think, I think that's a good point you bring up, because there is some people that are going to get on the phone and they're way more analytical. Like, they're way more like, dude, if you ask me one more damn questions about my feelings, I'm going to hang up the phone right now. And so if you get on the phone with them, I'm like, dude, I am so happy you said that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've been listening to everybody telling me about all their problems all day. I got somebody on the phone that's ready to make a decision today.
There it is.
And all I got to do is give them a number. I'm like, I'm so happy I got you today.
There it is. There it is.
And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Wake-up call.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so then now it's I'm really a way more matter of fact.
Yes.
Of how long do you need to sell this thing? And I'm a little bit, my tone's different too.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more aggressive. I'm a little bit more like, when he pushes me, I'm pushing back. Like, I'm putting it back to him. Hey, look, there's 2 ways we sell this thing, maybe 3. Seller finance, we list it, we buy it cash.
Yeah, very matter of fact.
Yeah. And because those type of people, if they don't have the emotional part attachment to it, then really it's going to come down to the numbers. So I'm going to run the numbers with them. And if it makes sense to do a cash offer, let's do it. If not, list it with a realtor, and let's not waste anybody's time.
Right.
And that, because like I said, we can't solve everybody's problem, right? There is going to be somebody that fills out the form that truly just seen it and was like, hey, maybe this would be easier if I did it, or maybe they just were like, I have no idea what this is about, so they filled it out.
Yes.
And like, if this number works, great. If not, hey, I'm not your guy, and I'm not gonna beat myself up about not closing that guy. So we'll get into it, get the numbers, whatever. If it's the emotional person, then yeah, I'm gonna be the therapist. I'm gonna sit there with him. I'm gonna do everything I can to just kind of, you can't let those people talk for too long, because when they're emotional,
Oh man.
you will be talking, you'll be on the 30 minutes and we haven't even talked about the condition of the house yet. And so move the cell, you gotta make sure you move the cell forward with them. But yeah, I would say that it's gonna be like an analytical guy who maybe he is like an engineer, maybe he's an investor himself.
Very cerebral.
Right, yep. Or it's the emotional person, and then there's maybe one more that's kind of hard to figure out. Like, he's being tough at the beginning, but it's because he's like really actually did have some stuff happen to him and you need to get it out of him. And so if I'm at the beginning of my script and he's being tough with me, like that aggressive, like, we talk to them, right? Like, it's like when he comes off that aggressive, it's almost like he's not analytical, but he's like, I'm not showing my cards at all. I'm not going to. And so I'll get to the point after setting expectations and I'll say, hey man, I'm pulling this thing up right now. And then I feel like a lot of these times too, it's a nice house. Like they've done well. And so I'll be like, dude, this is a beautiful house. I go, I wouldn't sell this thing if I were you. And when you tell somebody that that's aggressive, that when you tell them what to do, you're like, well, I have to sell it. Yeah, absolutely. Got you. Well, I got to sell it. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And now he's like, well, I just got into a divorce and whatever. And so now we got him, right? So we come back at him away. We tell him what to do. And it's like, it's that reverse thing where they're just like, wait, hey, this guy don't know me. He don't know why. Like, I have to sell this. And I'm like, okay, guys, let's talk about it.
So how do you respond to somebody that's like, they have the motivation, but they want retail? Like, what does that look like if a person has this motivation, you know why they want to sell, obviously a good reason, but like maybe the price is right at retail. They're like, oh, well, Zillow said this, or, you know, a realtor said they can list it for this. How do you typically deal with that, you know, individual?
That is normally like, those are pretty long calls of it, like just educating, right?
Yeah.
Hey, find a house on Zillow, like, you know, get to your comps, find one that sold at retail.
Yep.
Copy that link, paste it into the text. Does your house look better and worse than this?
That's one simple way.
Hey, oh, it's quite a bit worse. Okay, then find one a little bit worse. Hey, similar, better, worse. And now as we work on the part, I'm like, hey, this is, as you can see, this is what they're selling for. Like, I'd have to put some money into this thing.
Yeah.
Or we can talk about how like 80% of realtors didn't sell a house last year. You know, I did 40 or 50 deals last year.
Right.
So it's just a matter of trying to educate them, showing them some visible stuff. And then, you know, like you said, like, hey, like I'd like to use the grandma situation.
Yeah.
Like, let's say, you know, they wanted retail. They knew it was going to take 120 days to get there. We don't know if grandma can make it that long.
Right.
Hey, when we go for the close, hey, what do you think your grandma would say? Or what do you think, how would she feel if she knew you couldn't come spend the rest of that 2 months with her because you were holding out for 10 grand?
Bringing up the motivation.
Right. Like, what do you think how do you think she would feel if, you know, money was the only thing separating from you to going to spending the last few days with her? Like, that makes my goosebumps. Yeah.
That's really powerful.
And so the other thing we can do is we can try and frame it in a way like, hey, would you agree that money isn't everything? And most people would be like, yeah, it's not everything. And then now that we've identified them, made them self-identify themselves as somebody that believes money isn't everything. When we get to the close, we can say, hey, we both can agree, right, that you said money wasn't everything. And you also told me you got this, this, and this going on. How would that person feel if we didn't make a decision today because we were 10,000 off or 20,000 off or whatever it is?
Right.
So we'll use that again, trying to use that pain to just make them logically think.
Right. Absolutely.
They are longer phone calls though.
That's true.
And you're actually helping them get to the truth of the matter.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, when you talk about how, you know, money isn't it, you're right, money isn't everything because I'm actually able to do A now and B now and C now. You know what I mean? And I'm getting the extra little cash.
Right.
Because now this is offered me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you get a person, and I love this about sales because I teach this. You are a counselor, a therapist. You are a confidant, a best friend. You know, you are, you know, you're analytical. You're, you know, forward thinking. You know, all of these different things when you're on a call, and you have to be prepared for whichever role, whichever hat you're going to put on. Right?
For sure.
Tell me a little bit about those moments, though, when the customer tells you, hey, I just want to think about this a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to make a decision right now.
Yeah, that's always that's always a smoke screen, right?
Yes.
Nobody goes home and shuts their eyes and it's just like, what decision am I going to make?
Right.
And so I tell my people there's could be 1,000 ways to overcome it, but pick one and get really good at it.
Yes.
So the one that I choose is I always go back to disarming them, right?
Yes.
And so I always agree, like, hey, of course you need to think about this. This is a big decision.
Yes.
Like, you're selling your home. I go, how much time do you need to think about this? Do you need like 3-4 months? Like, and then I'm going to drag it way out because if we say, what do you need? Do you need a couple hours? Like, can I get you back?
Right.
Oh, I need 3 weeks. Yeah. I need 3 weeks. But if I say, hey, do you need 3 months? Oh no, like we need to sell this. Like, I just need 24 hours. So now we draw it in, and then I say, hey, perfect. When's a good time for us to talk tomorrow? You know, morning or evenings, right? Make them choose. And then they say evening, make them choose one more time. And don't cop out when they say, oh, anytime's good, right? You ain't ever going to get them back on the phone again. Hey, and then make yourself like, put your status up of like, hey, we have a ton of people filling out these forms. Like, I might not randomly be available for you tomorrow, and I want to make sure that we get this taken care of. So that's why I asked that we set some time aside. And then let's say we say 5 o'clock, and, you know, is there a reason why you might not show up tomorrow? You know, get everything set in stone to make sure you have a higher appointment if we actually do set it. But we are going to go back for the close. So once we say, hey, thank you for doing that, I look forward to this. Oh, before I let you, so they just did this, like, oh,
Right.
I don't have to make a decision today. Right when they do that, I'm going to go, hey, before I let you go, what was it that you wanted to kind of go over, just so I'm better prepared for tomorrow?
There you go.
And now they're going to say, dude, we're just a little far off on price, or we haven't found a place to go yet, or I needed to talk to my wife about this, or whatever it was. And now we're like, okay, now we know his price. Like, how far off are we? Can you make any repairs so that we can come up?
Right.
You know, would your grandma, how would she feel if we didn't get this done because of $5,000 or something? And now we got the objection. Now we go back for the close. Is there any reason we should put this off till tomorrow? What's a good email for me to send this agreement to? Or it might be, let's say the house one, right? We don't got a place to go. I'll say, hey, I completely understand that's something that can be, you know, really nerve-wracking, right? You put your house under contract to sell, you don't got anywhere else to go. I go, let's look at it this way. You find that house, you see your kids playing in the backyard, you love everything, it's in your price range, and now you go to make that offer, and there's 2 people making offers on this house. It's you, somebody that has to make a contingent on selling their home, and this guy that's ready to move in. He's already got his house under contract. Which one is that person going to go with?
The other one.
Right. So I go, let's go ahead. Let's make this contingent on you finding a new home.
Right.
And now you guys start looking at homes. By the time you find one, we'll set a closing date once you find one. Is that okay if we do that for you? So you don't miss out on that home? Easy to say yes to.
Be easy to say yes.
And they're like, oh, I didn't think about it like that, right? But point of that is drop their guard, isolate the real objection, and then solve their problem.
But again, you said it again, and I think it bears repeating. You're actually helping the person, the seller, to think a little bit deeper than their emotion.
Yep.
Because most people, and you alluded to this, and we teach this all the time, most people are impulse buyers and impulse sellers. They make it based upon their emotion, how they feel in the moment. But when you take feeling out of things and you start looking at things logically, then you begin to say, well, wait a minute, maybe that's not so bad.
Right.
Maybe I do need to go ahead and do this and get this in the way and out of the way. You know what I'm saying? Because now emotion is not involved. It's logic. It's right. Well, wait a minute. That do make sense.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Okay. All right. And then it's almost a sigh of relief because they see that you're not trying to take advantage. You're literally trying to help them solve a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
And I think that's the key to anybody that's looking to get in this. And let's say if you said this earlier, this is all about it. We're giving frameworks of how this whole thing works and giving you point A, point B, point C. We'll go back over those. But I think all in all, you should always remember, solve the problem. Find out what the problem is. Find out what the pain is. Solve the problem. Don't sell, don't convince, don't persuade.
Yep.
Just solve the problem. Find out what it is. Ask a series of open-ended questions. Let them voluntarily give you the information. Sometimes you have to probe, but there are certain ways to formulate questions. And I think Brett has done an incredible job with giving you those kind of questions to ask to get to the problem. So yeah, masterful job, man.
Actually, a little bit. I think that's very important, that like knowing the difference between getting somebody to do something for your benefit works, and the difference between getting somebody out of their own way, right? When we talk about like convincing, persuading, and things like that, y'all, if you focus your mindset on not doing something for your benefit, like, hey, man, I want to make this $20,000, right? Oftentimes what I have seen is that most people that try to get people to do something for their benefit and their reasoning, and it's all about you, typically you're not going to get the sale. People can feel that kind of energy over the phone, right? But if you're truly invested and you're taking the tips that we're giving you about literally helping people get out of their own way, and this is for a benefit of them, right? Yes, you get the secondhand benefit of making the money with the property, but at the end of the day, if you focus on helping people get out of their own way, you will absolutely make money every single time, because this thing that we call life, y'all, is really 90% of it is literally mental and spiritual, right? Mental and spiritual,
Yes,
right?
sir.
The business, if you're thinking like, and this is kind of off topic, but like, I remember somebody was saying, hey, I'm thinking I'm going to try out life insurance instead of real estate. It seems a lot easier, whatever. But what most people typically don't tell you is that no matter what business that you get in, it all has its own booger bears. And they all have objections. They all have the challenges that they have, right? And what I want you to understand is that this is so very important to know that, like, your mindset is everything, right? The way that you think, the way that you handle things, the way that you talk to these sellers, it matters, because if you can help them get out of their own way with whatever they're dealing with, you will absolutely make money every single time, because you're putting them first. Let's normalize putting others before ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Absolutely.
You're talking something good there, and I think, Brett, you said something very powerful too on that very thing, and that is putting yourself in the shoes of that seller.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, really genuinely, if you can somehow mentally do that and understand when you're talking to that guy that was hard-nosed at the very beginning, instantly, because of my experience, that tells me, nah, this guy done burnt before.
Yep.
Right. This guy done went through some things before. So my response to this individual is not going to be one of, being belligerent or
This is what it is,
or, asserting myself. It's going to be, now I'm going to ask open-ended questions so I can understand. You know what I mean? Like, I hear that pain. I hear the frustration,
Yeah, right.
He's talked to 7 different people.
Yeah.
And they all lowballed him and,
Yeah.
didn't care about, and all he wanted to do is be heard.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And sometimes I'll even say, like, if they're coming out that aggressive, I was like, hey, hold on a second. Is everything okay over there? Yeah. Is there a like, did I do something to? No, man. I've done just like you said, I've done 7 of these calls today.
I'm telling you, and that's just powerful. In my opinion, when a person can actually do that, and really set that stage for that individual, because it lowers the guard.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah,
and what that says now is, we can actually have a conversation now.
Right.
Absolutely.
I can actually solve your problem now. I'm the guy to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Deal. Yeah. Now there you go.
Absolutely. That's very important, y'all. So when it comes down to these sellers understanding, like, hey, all right, I can't get retail for my property. And I know I can't, I don't want to take the lowest amount, Joe Blow. Ethically speaking, how important is it to know, like, we know, all right, hey, you got your mortgage right here. We know how much this mortgage is. We know how much we can make, right? Mm-hmm. We know how much this seller is potentially going to walk away with, right? Ethically speaking, how important is it to make sure that your seller actually walks away with something worthwhile, as opposed to, like, and the reason why I say this is because I've seen people do deals and they make $100,000 and sellers only get $5,000 in their pocket, right? Mm-hmm. And then if a seller asks for more money, they're like, oh no, this is, and they rather make the 100 to 5. We talked a little bit earlier about like putting people before yourself. What, ethically speaking, how important is that in the wholesale industry as a whole, with knowing like, man, these laws are getting put in place because of, you know, different people doing different things, and like how important do you feel that is just to treat your seller and like fairly?
No, I think it's super important because one, I've never gotten so many dang referrals since I started my own thing. Like people will, and when I tell Naaman that, sometimes he's like, "How the hell are you getting referrals wholesaling?" Right, right. You know? And I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm always super fair to them. And there has been plenty of times, like I know there was one where I did this novation in Baytown, and we talked about listening, and I told them I thought the best option was to listen. And I said, no. We know what our house is worth, but we want to do cash. I tried cash. They had solar panels, wasn't quite working out. And I said, look, if you let us market the property, what we can do is we can find somebody that will transfer the loan of the solar to them, because they're like, you know, they're a retail buyer, right? They don't care so much about the solar,
Right.
So we switched it to the novation at the same price as cash. And I knew that it was going to be a good lick as a novation, but I didn't know how good. And it turned it into one of those like $80,000 deals. And it came back with, at closing time, there was like some sort of lien on the property from COVID that basically all they wanted to do was walk away with 20. They said, if I can walk away with 20, I don't care. They're like, make your money. They said, we do not care.
Right.
And I said, oh, we can do that. Well, when we did that, it wiped all their money out. And then they needed more off of that. And they're just like, can you, like, what do we do like this? And they were pretty upset because they didn't know about that. And I mean, I took my feet on 40 grand on a $80,000 thing because I told them I would get them to that 20. Now it doesn't always work like that.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
But like, if you can, sure. I mean, there's plenty of times where it comes to a point where I want to make sure they at least have money for moving costs or something.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And so at the end of the day, you know, how do you sleep at night too when you're doing some of that stuff?
Man.
So yeah, I think it's important to help your sellers out.
Absolutely.
That it'll make the transaction go that much smoother.
Yeah, because it's not what is $5,000 from your assignment fee if you're making 30, 40, you know, 20, right? Taking care of your sellers and putting them first, and we're helping these individuals literally take us a long way, you know, and I think that's very important. So you're building a team now, right? Close to a year in this thing, and it's crazy to say, like, you've made $600,000 in literally under a year of doing.
We're gonna get back to that.
Yeah. Because like, that's not normal.
That's not average.
Can you walk us through, like, I don't want to say how you did it, but how you did it? Like, what was the start of like before you did any deal, right?
Yeah.
I know you said that essentially you got laid off, right?
Yep.
What did that look like? Like, what did you have to do to market? I know you knew sales because you started under Naaman and stuff like that. So it was like pretty easy for that point. But like, there's so many other aspects of business. You got the CRM. I know we were talking about that when you came. He's like, man, right? You got the marketing, you got the sales, you got all of these different aspects. When you started, what did that look like for you when you were laid off and like you got in and you like, man, forget it, I'm going all in? Like, what did that look like?
Can I add an extra question to that?
Yeah.
That night you got laid off, right? The night you got laid off, and
Crazy night.
you got ready to lay down that night. What was that like? And just, you know, answer after you answer this question. But I wanted to ask you this earlier because I think this is important for viewers to understand. People have different whys in why they do things, but sometimes it is embedded in some kind of pain somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And so when you mentioned you got laid off, I was like, yep, can relate. Good. Yeah. I can absolutely relate. So what was that night like for you?
You know what's really crazy, and there's nobody else that could have put this piece on me other than God.
Yeah.
But when I laid down that night, I felt like the right thing happened that day.
Wow. Yes.
Which is not a lot of people can say that. And two, you know, obviously single guy, no kids or nothing. So, I mean, It wasn't like, how am I going to feed my kids
Right.
or anything like that. But I get that a lot from people who are like, well, you're so lucky, you know, you don't have a family. And I'm like, did you just hear what I said? You just said, right? When I have a good day, I got nobody to share it with.
Yeah.
When I have a bad day, I got nobody to share it with.
Wow.
When the bills get tight because I'm waiting on a cash conversion cycle, I don't have a support system. I don't have a wife that's bringing in funds, right?
Wow.
Or anything like that. So I'm like, everybody, if you want to make it seem like you have it better, worse off, like it's always some type of some sort of way, right?
Somebody doing worse.
And so that night when I got laid off, I was just like, this was supposed to happen, right?
Wow.
And my older self, you know, somebody that liked to party and do all that, like in my head, I was like, damn, I'm probably gonna go get really drunk and regret it. I went to bed that night. I woke up, I worked out, and I applied to get my real estate license, and I'd knocked that out in like a month. And I tried going down that path. Didn't really work the best. Like I didn't enjoy it. And then that was when I was kind of like trying to decipher which way I wanted to go. But it was really hard. I mean, I went from making $200,000 a year. I built the lifestyle because when you're in that group, everybody wants the truck, the motorcycle, the boat. Like we did not live we spent it and we lived life.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I relate.
when I got laid off, I had my house I had just bought in Denton, probably like a $2,800 mortgage between everything, a boat, a motorcycle, a brand new truck, 4-wheelers. I mean, my payments were probably like $7,000 a month, and I got no income. Now what the hell?
Now what they gonna do? Yeah.
And I did sell a house previously where I had some money left over from to like as a runway.
Right.
But I mean, when I went into my business, when I first started it in December, I quite literally had almost $0.
Wow.
I mean, thank God after that 8 years of making that much money, I had great credit.
Yeah.
So I had 2 credit cards that had like $20,000 limits of no interest. I maxed them both out.
Yeah.
I prepaid some rent because I was like, just in case things go sideways, at least I need a computer and I need leads.
There you go. Yeah.
And I said, I've proven myself in sales. And so I was like, I was doing the math. I was like, when I was with Naaman, I was closing like 1 out of 15. I was figuring out how much I needed in marketing, figured probably 3 months till I see a paycheck. And then I just believed in myself at that point. I had built the skill, and I knew that's why I did the 3 months of rent, because I was like, I know that's what it's going to take. Like by that time I should get paid again.
Yeah.
I knew the amount of leads I needed.
Yeah.
And I just said, let's do it.
How long did it take you to get paid? In reality,
I think it was like February. It was like 45 is when it hit. Yep. And I got that first, I was like, oh shit. And I was still roofing.
Yeah.
And then I think come like April is when I was like, okay, I just got reimbursed a little bit. I have a few more under contract. And then April is when I quit roofing, and then I went full time. That's when I linked up with Ben.
Yeah.
And I really started going pedal to the metal. That's why I say like April is really when I went full time. I kind of dabbled a little bit from December to then.
Yeah.
But really it was April was when I went full force. Yep. And it was scary. It was scary.
Yeah. That says a lot. It really does. It says a lot. And you don't hear that kind of tenacity. I'm 48 years old, man. So I'm a Gen Xer, right? And we grew up with, drinking out of water hoses and, going to play outside and not coming back home until it's time for it dusk dark. You know what I mean? That kind of deal. We played football in the street. You know what I mean? So it was like that tough grit, kind of mentality. And I was just telling my wife this the other day. We were talking about, our children and how that they got that toughness, like they from us, our rearing,
Yeah.
And so I wonder, where did that come from for you?
Yeah.
Because you don't hear that a lot, man. It just how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
31.
31. Yeah. So it's like, and I'm saying this with all due respect, there are not a lot of 20, 30-year-olds with that kind of mentality, man.
Yeah.
It's just not. And I'm not saying that they're not out there. I'm saying, don't y'all start commenting and all that. Just think about it for a minute. To be the only person that you can count on
Yeah.
and not give it up.
Yeah. It's scary though. Like there's,
Yeah.
the other thing was too, was being 28. So, and let me backtrack too, to answer like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I am from a super small town, and I believe today people watch us and they're like, that's Brett. Like I didn't talk. Like I was so shy.
Wow.
I didn't talk to anybody.
Right.
Like people thought I was like stuck up, but I'm like, really, I was just terrified to talk to everybody. And I mean, I grew up farming. I worked, I pick and rock out in the fields. Like I worked since as long as I can really remember.
Wow.
And I know like from basketball and a few other things where I kind of grew, like the teachers telling me like they didn't think I would graduate, and just, I had one teacher literally wrote "worthless piece of crap" as my name on the board. Listening to that.
Are you
I
serious?
swear, every day. When I came into class, that was my name on the board. And so you grow that chip on your shoulder.
Man.
And
You mean a rock,
yeah.
a boulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I do have that, like I'm just like, dude, this is I'm gonna make it work. Like there's no other way. You know what I mean? Like it just got to the point where like I am gonna show everybody.
Yes. Yes.
And
That sounds so simple.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you go from that, and all the hard work I used to do, I'm like, dude, I can. And I used to think about that all the time doing power lines. I'm like, I am 120 feet in the air right now. I'm dangling from a helicopter,
Right.
or I'm working by 120,000 volts or whatever it is, right? And I'm like, I could be working 80 hours a week in an office, not risking my life every day. Now I feel like it's more like stress and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm like, I can do this type of work, but apply it to anything.
Yes.
And I'm like, if I'm putting 80 hours a week into anything,
Man.
I know I'll be successful at it.
Man.
And so once I had that, basically I had a little bit of proof, right, from naming and, knowing that I had a closing skill.
Yep.
And I do the numbers. And then after that, it was just like, you can do it. Now it's just bet on yourself and do the damn thing. And so I went for it.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Man, you got all right, cool. So went from that right there, maxed out credit cards,
Yeah.
made your money back. Did you make it back in 45 days? Like you plus, or you just like made some of it?
Yeah, and I don't think it was quite all of it.
Right. Still.
It was really like probably like April, May. May was when I had my first $100,000 month. So to go from
Wait.
Yeah.
May when? Like last year?
yeah, May. Yeah.
All right. So you started in April. Well, essentially went like full on in April, and in May, the very like you got to be kidding me. You made 6 figures in literally essentially a month.
Yeah.
Hours.
So a little bit of mixture of, obviously I did have some leads like from the previous months, first follow up or stuff and whatever. But yeah, it was full fledged in April, and a lot of the stuff aligned. Like God was just like, we're gonna help you make this work, right? I mean, all the contracts I got, it wasn't even like there was no follow rate really, which I know now after having a few perfect months back to back. Like, hey, this doesn't always happen, right? But yeah, it was quite literally from I maxed out my credit cards in January, and then in May I had my first $100,000, month in assignments.
Wow. Okay. Man, that's crazy. So 100K a month in May. And I want to go back to this because I know you alluded to this a little bit earlier, a cash offer and a novation. Can you explain what a novation is for the people who don't know what that is, right?
Yeah, so I make it super simple. Yeah, that's how my brain works. Like
What everybody needs.
farm boy from Minnesota, like that's how my brain has to work.
I love it.
So to me, all the novation is quite literally getting a piece of paper signed, attorney in fact, so you can get somebody's property and market it on the MLS or Zillow or Realtor.
Right.
That's I don't know. Maybe that made it sound too simple, but that's how my brain works.
That's exactly how
property.
Yeah, that's exactly how simple it is. Okay, so novation is that you essentially just taking a property to a market, right?
That's what
That's it. And with this, I know the first thing that most people say, hey, cash offer, this is low, 70%, whatever. How does that work? Do you make the novation offer first, or do you make a cash offer first?
So the way that I'm teaching my reps, because this is how I started too, if you lean too much on your novation because you know you can give higher on it, you might risk not getting a great deal, right? And the other thing is you might not take the seller on a journey enough to where they'll take it. Like the negotiation process you're going to miss.
Right.
And also, I would much rather do a cash deal because Chris sells them so damn fast.
Yeah.
I would rather have my cash conversion cycle be 21 days versus 60.
Absolutely.
And so I'm always hitting the cash first. Now, for my reps, I tell them just destroy cash the best you can. Like negotiate all the way till they're about to basically hang up.
Right.
And then I'm saying, hey, I understand that's pretty low. You do have a beautiful property. We do have another program called our concierge service, where we can get you more money for the property. Would you care to hear more about how we can get you more money for your property? So nobody's gonna say no to that, right?
Right.
And then we're gonna tell them how we're gonna market it. Like, hey, I'm gonna market this thing. I'm gonna put it on the MLS, the Zillows, the realtors. We might even throw it on like something like Investor Lift. Like we're gonna get more eyes on your property than probably literally anybody.
Yeah.
The other thing is my assistants are going to be making calls on it. I used to be a realtor. When I got a listing, it went on the market and
That's it.
that's it.
Nobody call, nobody call.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to cover all the fees. Maybe some slight like lender required repairs. And the way we make our money, whether it's $1 or $1,000, is going to come from the buyer.
Okay.
And they go, from there, they're going to say something, well, what's your offer? Or what, like, what do I look like? And then we're going to do another kind of push-pull thing where I'm like, well, look, we really only get 7 of these approved every single month. And your property would have to qualify for it. So let me put you, if this is something that you would want to do, and you're okay with us marketing it, let me put you on another quick hold. So I know this is like the third one.
Of course.
But just give me 5 more minutes, because this could be the difference of another 20 grand or something.
Right.
Back on hold, great news, got you approved, hit the offer, and now, we're scheduling pictures and everything.
Absolutely.
But, hitting the cash first. Now, if we're talking with somebody that's a little bit more analytical and they're like, hey, look up this address, and they know what's selling in the area, like I might be like, hey, I went back there to get you approved for a cash offer. This does not sound like something that's going to work for you. Like I'm already letting them know.
Right.
Yeah. Like, hey, we do have other programs. That's why I was telling you, we have multiple strategies to help homeowners. Cash offer is not something I think is going to benefit you. Your home's too nice. You got too much equity. We do have a concierge service where we can get more money for your property. Run it by them, see what their questions are. If everything's good, same thing. I'm gonna see if I can get you approved for this. Let me put you on another hold.
Boom.
But what happens with those type of sellers is when you give them that cash offer, even though we have an underwriting department, from what I've noticed is you give that low cash offer, they cannot get their heads off of it. From what I've experienced in the past.
That's true. They want, well, how did this, and they're like, oh, this property sold this and this. Yeah.
Or this is what I hear them say too. Like we'll be at 50, let's say we're at 50,000 and now we can be at 90 with our novation.
Right.
They're gonna be like, I can't take 50,000. I'm like, we're not talking about that no more. Like we get you not, no, I can't take 50. I was like, and now they're confused. So sometimes when they're like real aggressive or whatever, I might feel that out and then just go straight to the novation.
Right.
But for starting out, you'll start using that as a cop out.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
so I try to teach for my reps, just pitch the cash first.
Yeah.
Because they might just take it, right? They might just take it. We do a quick dispo, whatever. But if they absolutely are not budging, then we'll pivot. Yeah. So.
No, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So know what a novation is, what the concept of it is, and even how to pitch it. Appreciate you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, what does that look like on the other side of a novation? Meaning, like, do you now go talk to a realtor, or do you go pay somebody to put it on the market for you? Are you having people call? What, like,
Yeah.
like, what does that process looks like with you and your team?
So couple different ways, right? You can call the realtors. I might have a realtor just to confirm like list price for me. Like I might make a few calls. I'll look at people that have done deals in the area. So when I see the solds or actives or pendings, if that realtor has sold a house in like 60 days or less, I'm like, they're probably pretty badass. They probably know.
Right.
One, if I'm going to use them, I've never done it that way. I've always used the like a flat fee type service.
Of course.
But if somebody's selling houses in 60 days or less in this market, they're probably pretty good, right?
Right.
So get feedback from them. I'll use the flat fee service where it's just, you know, website, you pay $99. They'll let you list it on there, but you got to field all the calls. And then what I'll also do is we'll pull realtor lists in the area. And so we might go by the county. We might quite literally do like a whole state or something.
Right.
Because you never know where somebody wants to move to, right?
It's true.
So we'll pull a huge realtor list and we'll shoot out a text that says, before we even list it, like, hey, we know the market's changed right now. So we're trying a little bit different strategy and letting realtors know beforehand we have a deal coming out. And we'll send that to like 500 realtors before we even send it out. And we've sold probably the last 2 or 3 deals. I just had one in Shawnee, Colorado. We text blasted a bunch of realtors. Ended up making like a $40,000 assignment in like the middle of nowhere because somebody wanted to live out there.
All right. So essentially this realtor is basically bringing their client that has a loan or something to the property to basically get approved. So like, what does that look like on the side of like, let's just say we go back a little bit. You're pulling the list, you're talking to the realtor, you're trying to get them to list the property. What does that conversation look like? Because nowadays, you know, some realtors don't even know what a novation is, even though they do it every day. They just don't know it as a novation or as listing the property, right? So what does that look like if you are attempting to do that rather than going the flat fee way? What would that look like if they're wanting to have a conversation with a realtor? And I know that can be, you know.
So, well, I was just going to say, I've never had a realtor listed. So I don't even know. I would, if I were going to do it, how I would approach it. I've never done it.
Right.
But if I were to, I would just say kind of like what I say to the like when I have it listed on flat fee and then like a buyer agent calls in, I'll just say, hey, I have interest in this property. Seller wants me to help them out with it as far as like signing on their behalf. Can you list this for me?
Very simple. I like how simple you keep it. It's very, very simplistic. Okay. So what does this person need to do when they get into real estate? Like they have this information. What are some weekly non-negotiables that you do in your company, such as maybe that's tracking KPIs?
Yep.
You know, what are some non-negotiables that this person absolutely needs to do when it comes down to getting in this business?
Actually, let's do it this way. Think about this for a minute.
Yeah.
You got 30 days.
Yeah.
No brand, no list, and you got $1,000. What are you doing to make money in the next 30 days?
First off, so do you have any, okay, so we got no brand.
You don't have a brand.
Yeah.
You don't have a list. The only thing you have is $1,000 right now. And you can make a move however you want to make the move. What do I do at the new person, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to take that $500 and going to get a mentor or somebody to help you walk you through? Or are you going to go buy your program? Or are you going to attempt to use the knowledge that you have? Like, what are you doing with that scenario? 30 days. Because I guarantee you, somebody watching right now, they're in that position. I got a little money. I'm working.
My honest opinion to this, if you only had $500, go make some more money. Truthfully, I would say go work your job, pick up an extra shift.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. If bartend, Uber, DoorDash.
Yeah.
If you only had $500 set aside, or $1,000, I'll go. Even $1,000.
Yeah.
If that's all you have set aside right now, I would save some more money up.
Okay.
Truthfully, I would save some more money up because if you don't, to me, one, you got to take action, and it's never going to be the perfect time, right?
Right. Yep.
So I understand that too. But if you only had $1,000 and you burned through that, and now you feel like you failed, I feel like your chances at trying again, for majority of the people,
Yeah.
they're probably not going to try again. They're going to be like, dude, it didn't work for me.
Yeah, because they only had 1,000.
Right.
So that 1,000 is gone, and they work hard for that 1,000, and just tried something and it didn't work.
Then they're probably just going back to their now.
Go back.
That's true. And so first I would say, if you got no credit, nothing, like me, I had that credit built up. Now, I don't like to take away from my store, because even people that have the credit probably wouldn't be willing to be crazy like me, max it out. But
say they got good credit. If they have good credit, say they have a 780, right?
Okay, yeah.
Good, strong background, good, strong credit. Credit profile looks good.
Yeah.
That's got credits on it.
Then go back. I would learn it first. If you got no skills, you got to learn from somebody first.
Okay.
That money is not going to go anywhere except for on fire,
right?
If you don't know what the hell you're doing,
right?
You could go skip trace a list, you could go whatever, right? 1,000's not going to go very far as maybe like Facebook marketing or PPL or whatever. But if you don't have the skills anyway, you got to learn from somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
And so buy a book or watch the videos. And I know Lacedrick talked like this at the beginning, but if you even think about it at school, right? Like they had tutors, because not everybody can just get the information and learn, right?
Exactly.
And so if you can get a mentor or go work for somebody, right? Like that's truthfully how I started, right? Is I went and got into a business and I learned everything I knew from being inside someone else's. So maybe go try and work for somebody.
Right.
But $1,000, you still got to develop yourself.
Right.
Like otherwise you're just throwing it away, I think.
So would you say put in that $1,000 toward development? Yeah, by developing yourself, and as you were saying, like really hone in on your intellectual property. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Getting this together is what I call intellectual property.
Yeah, because I don't think 1,000 is enough, really. Like as far as if you have no skills, if you had absolutely no skills, you're just starting.
Right.
$1,000 is gonna only get you so far, and if you don't know how to do anything.
Right.
And so you could take that 1,000, like what I did. I mean, granted, I had 10,000, and I put it all into marketing.
Yeah.
I put it on fire. It was gone. Yeah. And then I pay for a course of sales of $2,500. My life changed.
Yeah.
And so now from there, I can do what I can buy the leads. I can buy the softwares, because now I know what to do with it, because I've watched people use these different softwares and I know what I'm doing. So I think that if you had the 1,000, either one, you got to find some credit,
right?
Talk to grandpa, grandma, whoever, get a little bit more,
right?
Go work for somebody, or learn.
What would you say about somebody who is willing to do the work to get them more motivated leads, right? Maybe they can't start out with inbound marketing or ads or anything, but they're willing to go deeper to get these lists from the county or get these highly motivated lists. Should they start out maybe there?
I would say I never did that personally. So like all the type of stuff that I preach about was because I had the money to kind of fast forward, or I had the credit to get that way.
Exactly.
And so as far as I've never really cold called. I door knocked for a while when I didn't know what I was doing. The guy I paid $20,000 to told me to go do, it was like an apple theory.
Right.
He said, bring an apple and a bottle of water, and once you've knocked enough doors and you walk down the end and the water's gone, he said, turn around and walk back and knock the other side. So that's when I didn't even know, he didn't give me a pitch, nothing. I paid 20 grand for $20,000. There is raised.
Yeah.
But if you truly have the tenacity and again, whatever you think it's going to be, you're going to need more.
Yeah.
Like if you think you can make I'm going to make 1,000 calls this week, you probably need to make 2.
Yeah.
Or you're like, dude, I could do this for 4 months, I think, before you probably need 8.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Exactly.
Like it's always way more and way harder than what you think it's going to be. But if you're willing to saddle up, then I would find somebody that teaches that then, right?
Gotcha.
Again, I feel like I just keep coming back. You have to find somebody to learn from. Yeah. But I never done that, so I don't think I could really attest to. But I know that there's lists that you can pull. Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have the money, watch a video on pulling lists.
Yeah.
And start calling that way in your free time.
Yeah.
But like you said at the beginning, it's you either got to have money or time.
Yeah.
Right. Because we all have both. Just figure out which one you have. and then use your strengths to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's a way that you typically train your team? Like, there's some experienced people on here, they're listening to this, right? And they're like, man, I'm starting out to build a team. Maybe I've never built a team before. What are some things that you could take like you're on the learning experience and also the mentorship experience of training individuals that are coming in. So like one thing that I typically like to do when I teach my mentees is I like to train from I'm a professional at this, like you're a professional at closing, right? Nobody new is going to come in and be like, hey, I mean, I think you should do it this way because you've done it. You have a proven process. And then also the other way of teaching is literally as we learn, hey, I don't know everything, but as I learn, this is something that I'm doing, right? In the time that you have been training and you've been hiring and all of this good stuff, what are some common things that you do to train with your team so a person can know like, hey, you know, what are the things that I should implement when I get a team?
So when I'm training, I like to always explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. So when it comes to the script, when I'm saying like, hey, this is why, if I were just to say, hey, like, hey, this is just Brett or possibly selling, and like, oh, this stuff sounds weird, and why do I got to change my tone? And so you have to explain to them why you're doing the things that you're doing. I feel like to get them to buy in, because they're like, oh, dang, that's why he says that, or that's why he's doing this. And then same thing with KPIs. Like, I don't want to track how many calls I made today, or I mean, obviously my software does that for them, so that takes it out of it. But you got to explain to them like, hey, if you made 100 calls, or let's say we have to figure out your baseline, right? So you're starting out and they've made 500 calls and they finally got their first contract. And it's like, okay, well, how many conversations did you have?
Right.
So it took 500 calls to have 20 conversations to get one contract.
Right.
And then your employee is like, well, I want to have 4. Well, then you need to make 2,000 calls and this and that, the other thing. So you can have 40 conversations, because 1 out of every 10 conversations you're having is this. But if we're not explaining that and in implementing those things, you're not setting up your team for success, because we don't know we're not tracking anything. Right?
Yeah.
And then now I think 2 things are going to happen, because again, I'm still in the beginning, but this is how I felt, or what I think I would feel in their position would be, or I guess yes, for myself, if I go through a week or something and I haven't got a contract, and I'm like, damn, do I suck at sales now? And this is something everybody goes through. I went through it.
I'm like, dang, do I really need to be doing this? Like, yeah, and get it.
And so you need to protect this. And I think the way you do that is by checking the KPIs.
Absolutely. What KPIs actually matter?
So I think the calls matter. I was always on the fence about that, because I was like, because I know personally as a rep, I remember some days where you're just not feeling it, right? And I'm like, do, and you're watching my call meter go up, right?
Yep.
So you don't want them just like making calls to make calls.
No.
But on the other hand is you need to know how many calls it takes for them to have 8 hours of talk time, or how many conversations or how many calls it takes to get to a conversation or to make an offer. And so when we don't track those things, and you go through the week and you have a contract and you're feeling down on yourself and you're like, damn, I don't know if I know sales, and is what Brett's teaching me really working, right? Well, if we go back and check the numbers and they made 100 calls, but they need to make 500 to have a conversation, their sales call, or it might not be their sales because they didn't put enough work in yet this week. And so you're like, damn, okay, that's why I'm like, maybe if I would have made an extra 400 calls, actually, it's not my sales skills that suck. It's my work ethic.
Right.
And so those are super important to track, as well as I track all my leads.
Yeah.
And so when my lead comes in, if it's like mobile home, rural land, if it's already listed with a realtor, any of those things, I'm tagging those and I'm putting them into a bucket. And so let's say we got 200 leads for the month, and the contracts aren't adding up. Again, first thing you look at is like, oh, do I suck at sales, right? First thing you go to. But then you look at it and we're like for me, a mobile home on rented land, I'm not messing with.
Right.
If it's in the middle of nowhere, I'm not messing with it, because I'm not going to put my team to work for something that's super hard to dispo.
Right.
If it's already listed, I don't do good with direct to agent calls. I'm putting it in dead. And so now I had 200 leads, and then my qualified is basically anybody else other than that. And let's say out of the 200, I had 60 qualified leads, and out of the 60 qualified leads, I actually had 3 contracts. But I wanted to have 8 that month or something. Well, it wasn't necessarily the sales stuff that was going on. We only had 60 qualified people to talk to, and our close rate is normally 1 out of 20 with this lead gen.
So you need
We're right on track. So we either need more leads. I need to talk to somebody to make an adjustment with my marketing. And now you know what levers to pull, right?
Right.
But if you're not tracking that, I feel like, at least for me, it always comes back to like, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
Or like, it's like my sales skills. But when you're tracking, it's like, okay, more marketing money. Or if we're 1 out of 500 one month for one of the sales reps, but then the next month they're 1 out of 600, now it's like, okay, maybe they're not practicing enough because John is still doing what, you know what I mean? So if we're tracking multiple people and one person's doing good, one's not, now it probably is a sales thing. We need to get more training. And so if we're not tracking that, though, we don't know.
When I had my my sales team, I paid attention to the amount of calls that they did, but that wasn't a measurement for me.
Yeah.
The measurement for me was the talk time.
Yeah.
Because that showed me there was conversations that were taking place.
Right.
And if you're conversating with that customer, it's going to go one or two ways, favorably or not favorably, right? Mm-hmm. So what I used to measure, I would measure the talk time to close. Did you get a chance to pitch the close?
Yeah.
If you pitched the close, then I measured that. And the reason why is because now that will help me to understand, okay, let's listen to that particular call.
Right.
And see, was there more customer or was there more you? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I would use those metrics to kind of see.
Right.
And it never fails, man. It would always be something that my salesperson left out, right? If they just would have added that little piece, it would have worked. That's why, my sales team, they were always closing at a high level, more than the average, because I would go in and listen to those calls and pinpoint those little things that, man, if you would have just added this, or if you would have taken that out and just left it where it was, having those conversations, those are the only 2 metrics that I use to gauge whether a call was a successful one or whether a pure failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just throw that out there for anybody that's, you're building a sales team, that kind of metric of, don't look at just the calls, how many calls they made,
Right.
because that number will lie to you.
Absolutely.
And don't look at just the closing ratio, because that number will lie to you. You want to look at a combination of, did they have a conversation with the customer and did they pitch it?
Mm-hmm.
Use those 2 together, and you can typically raise that rate. Just FYI. And now this is 30 years of being a call center director / running sales teams, to having my own sales team, doing that, because I've tried every other KPI, bro. I have tried everything to try to get these numbers up for companies that I consulted with, for companies that I work for, things of that sort. And I found the only 2 that really matter is, did they pitch and did they try to pitch to close?
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If those 2 are addressed,
Yeah, or at 8 hours of talk time, but you made no offers at what? What are you talking about?
Exactly. What are we talking about right now? You know what I'm saying? What's going on there, right? Yep. And if they need to get to the close quicker, you know what I mean? Or if they need to, cut the banter, because, I talk, when you're, the sales call, whether it's customer service or sales, you want to have a small little banter, just a little bit, just to kind of break the ice.
Yeah.
And then you want to go into the pitch, as quickly as you can.
Yeah,
and get in there and get to the close. So that's what I always just paid attention to that. And that served me, man.
Yeah.
It served me really well. Like the industry that I was in, we were doing leads, and the industry standard for what I was in was 20%, right? We were at 80%.
Wow.
85%.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you. That, and the money showed it.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. So just throwing that out there, man, for anybody that that's doing a sales team. But I think that's a phenomenal thing, man. You said something very powerful when it comes to And we talked about this earlier, about just really, really the training aspect of having a sales team, just really training them
Yeah.
on what to listen for, what to look for in those things. And I think speak a little bit about how you're able to even notice those things in your salespeople when you're building that sales team, to kind of see those weaknesses there, or what about it?
Let me, I don't know if I understand the question quite. So when they're, how do I notice what now? Like,
Yeah, just like, for example, you're one of your salespeople, and they're making these calls, and they're doing their job, they're on it, but they're not getting any sales. They're not,
yeah.
they're not really making it happen, and they're doing what you're telling them to do, right?
Mhm.
How do you kind of tweak those things? What are some of your kind of signals, if you will? Hey, I need to, let's talk about this aspect of your tone, or let's talk about this. What do you kind of use?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. So if we're getting into one, absolute, like, I feel like an absolute non-negotiable is you absolutely have to be picking a few calls out every week, right?
Yes.
And so one thing that I do is I call it like a hit list or offer list, and they can't only write down the offers I made that week or that day, because I want 3 offers a day.
Right.
And I go, I don't care if at the end of the day you just text somebody a couple.
Right.
I'm like, I don't prefer that. And I go, don't use that as a cop out.
Right.
But if you couldn't get anybody on the phone, text a few people,
Right.
like, because at some point the law of averages is gonna come out, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's my thing right there.
Yeah.
The law of averages.
And so when I get those calls, I'll pick one of them, whether it was signed or not, and then we might compare the two. Like, let's compare one that you did close compared to one that you didn't. And I can think of one in specific recently where you can really pick up on a seller's tone, and he didn't sign. He got all the way to he's like, dude, I don't know what I did. He goes, I gave him the number that they wanted, this, that, the other thing, but he goes, he didn't sign. And I'm like, well, let's go listen to the close. And so he's going over the contract, and something came up on it. And I heard the seller go like, okay, like he was confused. And I can't remember what he was confused about. I think it was maybe like the option period or something. And he goes, well, I needed to make sure my wife's on board. And then it was like the think about it thing. And when we listened to it, I'm like, I haven't called the seller yet, but I go, I guarantee you, do you hear this part where he says, okay? I'm like, he's confused. And you proceeded to try and close instead of saying, hey, like, I'll ask, like, hey, when you said okay, you didn't sound 100% certain. I'm like, are you understanding everything?
Sure.
And yeah, address it right then and there. And so then I call as the owner or the manager or whatever I make my call as. And I go, hey, you talked to my rep, Jay, and sounds like you guys were about to come to an agreement. What happened? And exactly what I pointed out was when he said that, okay, he's like, oh, I just really wasn't sure, like, that option period. He's like, what does that really mean? Like, are you guys going to try and make the offer lower at that point? And then I addressed it. He understood. We signed that on that. Right. And so just like you're saying, that's why, again, back to the metrics, you make that's how you can pinpoint with your reps is, okay, they made 3 offers and these were the names.
Yeah.
Why did John make 3 and Zoe made 3, but John got 2 signed and Zoe didn't? Yeah. Let's go listen to like how their tone sounded or whatever. So it's like you said, it's coming back to the metrics and making sure you know which calls, what, like, the important ones. You could pick a random call where the seller just sucked and it didn't go anywhere, and it's kind of hard to sometimes teach on those, versus when you find the offer calls and you dissect those ones, you can learn a lot more from those.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Good stuff, man. Sure. Beast, Brett the Beast. That's what you need to have on your hoodie next time.
Yeah. Let's get it, y'all. All right. So I think when it comes down to these last couple of pieces here, what essentially separates a owner from somebody who is used to always being told what to do?
It's a good question. I think you have to have an undying belief in yourself, like an unbelievable amount of
True, man.
faith in not only yourself but God. You need to have
That's true.
you need to have somebody to follow, like to talk to, right? And then you absolutely have to have. I think you need to, like right now, me and Chris, we have like a accountability group or something where, you know, we got to like text when we wake up or something to make sure we're waking up on time, or because it's very hard to go from, you know, hey, all I have to, your brain really doesn't have to work and you don't realize it. When you work for somebody, it's just like, oh, they just tell me what to do, and you think you know how to do everything.
Yeah.
One thing I compare it to is like in power lines, you are an apprentice, you work your way up to a journeyman.
Right.
When you're an apprentice, you're in a bucket truck with somebody, it's two guys, right? And the journeyman is typically the one flying it. And there's something called dead ending where you're terminating wire, whatever, and you fly up there and he's putting you on all the steps and he's telling you what to do. And you're sitting there and you think you know what you're doing because he's guiding you, right? And so your brain doesn't have to work as hard, but as soon as you step out of being told what to do and now you make all the decisions, it's like, oh shit, like how much am I supposed to be spending on marketing?
Right.
Did I make the right call? Like,
Yes, sir.
like Dylan used to do all that stuff. I never had to like, shoot, I didn't realize all the stuff that they were actually doing.
Right.
And so from there, it's like, you really need to have an undenying belief in yourself that you're doing the right thing, even if you don't have people around you that quite understand.
Right.
And so I think that comes from one, again, maybe working from somebody else first, right? You have to maybe see it done. And then two, discipline, you know, keeping your mind straight all the time.
Right.
But it's not easy.
No,
It's not easy.
not at all.
I need to know.
Yeah.
Not easy. Yeah.
Absolutely not. So when we talk about like keeping your mind right? Couple of things that I typically like to do, obviously read the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, go out for walks, work out. What would you say? Let's just say that like you have one of those months where you were expecting deals to close and like they didn't close, or like they got pushed back or delayed. What are some things that you can do to keep your mind right and essentially stay delusional / confident in those types of moments?
Yeah. For me personally, because I've obviously had those. One, you know, when your back's up against the wall, you do find a way. Like, I don't know what, all I can think of is I go back to God, right?
Yes. Yep.
And because it's
Good place to go.
Yeah, it's just when it's just like, dude, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like, you just have to know if you keep putting the work in it, it's going to work itself out.
That's true.
And that's easier said than done. But again, that's where it comes back to, you have to, I don't know how to explain it really, but you just have to believe it.
Yeah,
Like, you just have to believe like, hey, or, you know, it's nice to see other people that are successful. And once you start elevating, you can talk to those people.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, what are you doing? Or this, that, the other thing, and have community. Right. But it's kind of crazy because it's you really do have to have almost a delusional belief, like, hey, I've done this before, right? So one, it's a little bit easier when you've done it. Right. Like it gets easier in that sense. Not that it's easy, but it's easier once you have some sort of proof.
That's true.
And then keeping your word to yourself, like, you know, if you say you're gonna wake up in the morning, do it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna start eating good, do it. Because if you can't keep a promise to yourself, you know, how are you ever gonna make a business work? Or how are you gonna ever? How can you say like, oh, this is gonna work 2 months from now, even though I didn't close any deals, when you can't control what goes in your mouth, or like wait, I'm on time, or anything like that.
That's crazy, because that brings me to like when I think about, you know, certain people come and they ask for mentorship, right? And people that say, oh, well, I've tried all these things, I've spent all this money, it doesn't work, this and that. And it brings me to this thought of like, all right, you know, one of the things that I see most people do is they'll say, hey, you know, this didn't work, or whatever the case may be. But the real question is that you keep your word to yourself, right? No wonder, not a shot, but no wonder when you try to go out and invest in something else, wife is like, I don't.
Yeah.
It's because oftentimes what we don't do is keep our words to ourselves and to our spouses that we're going to stay true to something, or we invested in something and we were supposed to take action, and now we fell off of it, or we didn't actually take action. We just spent the money and we have nothing to show for it. Yep. So like that speaks very much so volumes on like, hey, how do I build trust with myself? Do exactly what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
Like,
and maybe do small things. Right?
Yeah.
And if you do the small wins that you can do every single day, make your bed right away in the morning. And I actually think in a previous one where I was like, hey, I'm not one of those guys that wakes up early, but
yeah,
I very quick found out that I had to start redoing those things again, because in those tough months, if like, dude, I told myself I was going to do this again, I didn't. And it's like, that stuff weighs on you heavy. And then what you're going to about not like extreme ownership, when people are saying, this mentorship didn't work or this didn't work. Even that guy that I paid $20,000, I still take responsibility on the sense that I wasn't ready to do that advanced of a course yet.
Yeah.
I just got laid off like a week before.
Right.
And he was talking about creative finance and like the most complex things I've ever, like what they needed was something like me and you have, where you come in and like, hey, this is how you like get started.
Yeah.
Not like, here, how do you go buy a multi-million complex or something,
Yeah.
And so I took responsibility, and like, it's that program for 20 grand probably works for somebody else.
Right.
Did not work for me though. And that's my own fault. Right. And maybe I could have, there's probably other things I could have done to maybe work a little harder, but the second you start taking responsibility for everything, you will see way more doors open up.
Yeah, absolutely. What does it look like, with getting coached by you? Like, I know you have profit partners, right?
Yes, sir.
Say somebody wants to, get started in real estate, or maybe they even have the capital or the credit or whatever the case may be. And they're like, man, Brett, I literally want to know what it looks like to work with you. What does that look like, in a sense, man?
Yeah, so I absolutely love our group. We got everybody from beginners, 2-3 deals a month. We got them all in one. And what we wanted to do was just create a place for that, because, I'm only one person, you're only one person, but when you can build a community around it, and if you're not always readily available, you might see somebody else that's super experienced in there. And I tell everybody, I'm like, when you ask your questions, don't just ask me or ask Chris, put them in the community, because one, somebody else might have an answer, but two, somebody definitely has that same question.
Right.
And so we've just built, like, I feel like a very safe place where people don't have to, like, I don't want to ask what ARV is, because I don't, like, everybody's throwing that word out. I don't know what it means. Like a comfortable place where nobody's gonna be like, oh, you don't know what that means. We built like a really safe place where whether you're day one, got no money, whatever, we're going to point you in a direction. Or we might even say like, hey, this might not be a good fit for you. Like,
Right.
Because especially the way that I teach, I am very much so somebody that's going to tell you to go make more money to where you can afford the marketing for it.
Right.
Because that's what I know how to do. So I'm not going to teach somebody to go pull a list when I've never done it.
Right.
And two, I mean, I've done some cold calling off of like expired listings, and I know that I called all of those and I didn't get one deal from it.
Wow.
And so that's probably one of the reasons I quit being a realtor, because it was like, dude, this doesn't work. Yeah. But I didn't, you know what I mean? I got burnt out. And as opposed to when you got a hot lead coming in and you're having good conversations, it's much more enjoyable. You're doing something that's going to be a lot more like, if you're enjoying the conversations and not everybody's telling you to F off, it's easier to stick with it.
That's true.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely.
And so if somebody comes to me and, they don't have any money for marketing, I'm probably going to tell them, I'm like, hey, we will do our best to guide you and sit in here and learn. But the quickest way is really going to either to work for somebody or build up a little bit more money.
Brett gonna hire him.
Yeah. Don't work for me and I'll teach you. Or just like, say, put some money aside, stop going to the Starbucks in the morning, or find some coupons when you go to the grocery, whatever you got to do, right? If you truly want it that bad, you will be able to figure out how to make it work.
Absolutely. What are 3 things that if somebody joins your community, they instantly get access to, like today, like calls? What does that look like?
And so actually, I haven't made this announcement yet, but to even partner with me now, you got to be in my group. Like, so if you want me helping to close your deals, if you want Chris to dispo them, well, I guess I don't know about Chris's side. But at least for me, if you want me to help close your deals or you want to submit to my JV form, you got to be in the community. The reason being, when we get all these new wholesalers and they're not being truthful about if they actually have it under contract or bad deals, if you're in my group, I can teach you exactly how to do it. And then if you want me to partner, I know that you're following our process.
Exactly.
So you get access, one, to me on helping you close your leads. Two, you get access to Chris for sure on dispoing the deal, right?
Yep.
Which is how I started. I got really good at sales, used him for my dispo. All of our classrooms, so my scripts, recordings of all of our past calls, calculators, I mean, contracts, it's all in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything you need to get started. We do acquisitions call, which is sales, you know how I work my CRM, stuff like that.
And you're directing those.
Yep, I direct those. And then you have the second part of, wholesaling, which is dispo. That's led by Chris. He goes over how to talk to buyers, how to build your list, how to underwrite deals. And then we have a marketing call. So we'll have Lacedrick spoke at one. He showed how to run Facebook.
There we go.
We've had people show how to do Google. We've had people, again, and I kind of forgot about this, but for people that don't have money or the time to put into it, posting on social media. We had somebody come in and getting organic leads by building your brand.
Yeah.
It's free to post, right? You make some, hey, and I tell all this to the people in my community, is if you go on there and say, I can help close your deal,
Right.
but really that means sending it to me, well, you now have access to me. Right. And I'll pay you just for hooking me up with somebody that wants to send me the lead or something like that. So when you start getting in these rooms, you have access to way more.
Absolutely.
And then the fourth call is just an accountability. Did you apply my acquisitions call, the dispo call, and did you do some sort of marketing? Are you applying all this? That's the fourth call, is keeping people kind of in check and making sure that they're
Everything somebody would need.
everything you need to get started.
Yes.
You sound like Walmart, man.
That's right. What's happening?
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, this was a very, very great conversation, man. Appreciate you
Yes, sir.
coming through, man, and just sharing game, sharing a wealth of knowledge with us here. I need to learn a lot here tonight as I'm in the game and a vet, and like it's just an everlasting learning process. So
Yep.
to anybody who watched this call, go ahead and just do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button for one, like the video, and then 3, I want you to comment what you took away from this right here, and you'll have everything that you need from this video through the video, but also we'll have Brett's information in there, y'all, so you can follow Brett.
How to get that merch?
And
The merch.
I hope he's giving the merch when it coming in the community. But other than that, we'll literally see y'all on the next episode next week. See y'all later.
Salute.